So when it comes to Outer Banks real estate, should you buy big or shop small? Hey everyone, it's Danielle Taylor with Keller Williams Realty here on the beautiful Outer Banks. And today I thought I would give you some things to think about when you're deciding whether to buy big or shop small on real estate. So let's talk about big houses to start out with. So oftentimes the pros of a big house are really related to the amount of rental income that that home can generate. So typically larger homes have more bedrooms. They typically have more amenities like pool, game room, those kinds of things. They can house more people. All of those things combined typically lead to a higher income level, higher revenue generator. So that can be really attractive to people, especially if you are looking for investment and return as your number one priority. So the pros are that it can generate, and typically the larger homes do generate, more rental income. The second thing that they can be really great for is that you tend to, on the larger homes, have a bigger renter pool, so a bigger guest pool, because more types of groups can be accommodated. So it could be a larger family doing a family reunion. It could be multiple families coming together to enjoy the groups having a family vacation and all staying at the same space. So you can accommodate all different kinds of people when it comes to the bigger houses. So those are really the top line pros. The cons really have to do with the flip side of income, which is cost. And so obviously you're going to have a higher acquisition cost when it comes to purchasing the property. You're also going to have a higher cost of ownership. So the reality is that your property taxes will be higher, your insurance will be higher, the utilities to run your home will be higher, larger square footage. So when the roof needs to be done or the decks need to be done or anything like that, you're going to have a higher cost to maintain it. So those things can really start to eat in and offset some of the better revenue that you're getting. So that's another thing to consider. The second con that really comes to mind has to do with how it fits for your particular family or situation. So what I mean by that is sometimes if you're looking to do the top line revenue driver and you go with the larger house, yet your particular needs when you and your family want to enjoy it are for a much smaller place, sometimes it can feel like you're just in too big a space and that it doesn't have that cozy beach house feel. So for some people, I find they end up making a decision to go slightly smaller because it fits for them personally when they're using it. So that has to be weighed off against the income and your investment goals and all those kinds of things. So let's talk about the pros and cons of a small cottage. And this is a little near and dear to my heart because, as you know, if you've been following the channel for a while, my rental cottage in Nags Head is just a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, about 860 square feet. So I can talk a lot about the small and mighty. So these small and mighty houses do have some pros. Obviously, the first one is affordability. So from an entry perspective, obviously the amount of money that you're going to have to come up with is less on these smaller houses. They have a smaller price tag. So that's a great thing. The other thing is the cost of ownership is a lot lower. You know, we've got less square footage, less utilities, less decks, roof, all of that area to maintain. So the cost of ownership can be a lot smaller. And in my opinion, for a lot of people, the smaller cottage pro is that it's a little bit less risky way for you to get into the business and to understand how seasonal and short-term rentals work, how it all comes together. It's more manageable. That can be a really big pro for some people. If you're thinking about potentially self-managing, instead of using a property management company, it can also make it less terrifying. You know, you've got a smaller space, smaller number of guests each visit that you're managing and those kinds of things. So those are really the pros in my mind of the smaller cottage. The cons are obviously that if you only have 2 or 3 bedrooms and no amenities and no game room and all those kinds of things, you just are simply going to generate less revenue. So you have to be comfortable looking at the equation of the income versus the expenses, and make sure that it fits for your particular investment and financial goals. Ultimately, also, you have to make sure that it still fits for you and your family if you choose to use the property. You obviously don't want to go too small that you can't even come and enjoy your own space if that's important to you. So those are really the cons as I see them. And sometimes we do have a smaller pool of people that can rent a small cottage simply because it only accommodates, like my cottage only accommodates 4 people. So that can limit the number of people that are attracted to it. And the other thing is I tend to find the smaller properties, they book later. So people are more apt to book like a big family group 6, 8, 12 months out. Smaller cottage tends to be more of a closer to the time frame. So if you're someone who's very nervous when your calendar isn't completely booked by the first of the year, the small cottage may cause you anxiety. So they just tend to book later. Ultimately, you know, what I would say is that big or small, the choice is really up to your particular situation, your financial goals, and that's stuff that we can work through together as you're figuring out the market and we're finding you the perfect property. Your risk tolerance, your financial capacity, balancing the needs of your family are all going to factor in, and with our help, hopefully we can help you make a really great and well-informed decision. So I hope you found that interesting and it gave you some answers and some things to think about. As always, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of these. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us through any of our channels, social media, email, text, whatever. We'd love to help. Hope you have a great day.